We'll call the meeting to order. So we do this, we'll just go over the vision and the mission of the Village of Valemount. The vision of the Village of Valemount is striving for a vibrant and balanced community. And the mission is to serve the community and embrace opportunity. So that's what we'll try to do tonight. The first order of business is adopting the agenda. Are there any amendments or changes? Okay. So I'll let mover and a seconder. All in favor? Okay, so adoption of the previous minutes, pages 1 and 2. And for those in the audience, if you don't know, there's a beautiful electronic document you can download online that has all of the minutes of the previous meetings, and everything's in there, including some new stuff that we recently changed the way that we do business. So at each meeting that we have, we take a look at what's has been in camera that is sort of behind closed doors, and then we bring that forward. So as a result, there's some stuff that you wouldn't have seen on there before. Added benefit. Okay, so we've got 3.1, the minutes of a public hearing held on February 26, 2013. Councillor Salt?
On correction, Mayor McCracken called the meeting to order, not meeting called meeting to order.
So just so you know, since you probably downloaded them on your iPad on Friday, I came back to work on Saturday and everything's been updated since then, so that change has been made.
Have there been other changes made that I made?
There was a handful, yeah.
Okay. Are you set? Were there other substantive changes?
No.
That was the only mistake I found of my own in that set of minutes.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Okay. With that, well, unamended then, motion to receive? Okay, Councillor Bullock, Councillor Salt. All in favor? Good. Following that, 3.2, minutes of the regular council meeting held on February 26, 2013. Pages 3 to 8. Okay, and any changes or not? Don't need to. Okay. Councillor Bullock? Councillor Blanchette? Anything to add there? Okay, all in favor? Okay, as written. Fantastic. No delegations tonight. No unfinished business. That's misleading. Correspondence for action. First item on page 9. 6.1, Tourism, Valemount, the TOTA Summit. So Tourism Valemount is asking that council consider sending Diane Fowler, a member of the Tourism Valemount, to attend the TOTA Summit. You're on the Tourism Valemount. Is that funded by Tourism Valemount?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think it's excellent to have new members switch it up and go to the meeting every year. So Diane's never been before. I think it's a great opportunity for her.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I'd entertain the motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Bullock, Councillor Blanchette. All in favor? Okay, great. Valemount Community Television media request. They're always on us, aren't they? So the media request is they want to do a 15-minute thing after each council meeting because the media's opinion is that 10:30 is not late enough to keep council here. No, sorry, just kidding. It's a nice idea. I guess the idea is that they want to have access to us, to talk to us after council meetings. The staff recommendation is not to do this, and I'm partial to that because we have a lot to do and a lot of serious decisions that we do both in the public and then in camera afterwards, and it just extends the stuff. The other personal item is, I'm not sure if I should be talking this openly, but I have strong feelings about it, is we've just gone through a council meeting after that, and then the idea is we do a quick interview right then and go forward. We've just had sometimes an emotional council meeting. Probably we've got some stuff that's just been done. It'd be so nice to get, you know, some shut-eye and then come back to that at a later date. And so my feeling was, in terms of being transparent, we can encourage the media to ask questions during the public comment section, which is totally fair game. It fits with our bylaws already. And so they've got questions that they just, you know, they don't want to leave here without getting. They can do that. I'm trying to make eye contact with some media folks, but they're buried there. So if you've got questions, you can throw them out there during the public comment period. And we can answer sort of stuff. Of course, we can't make any decisions or commitments during that time. But, and then I think we can consider what to do in the future, like if it's appropriate for a representative of council to go to the TV station or something. We can talk about that in the future, but I think staff has been really busy, so the implications of this aren't totally clear. But there's just some opportunities, so we don't want to shut people down. But for now, the staff recommendation anyways is that this 15 minutes thing right after the meeting is not.
Then, if you'd like me to quickly build on that, you'll have noted in the minutes section some comments towards things being brought forward out of in camera into the public, and some of those minutes reference the 2013 and 2018 corporate strategic plan for the Village of Valemount. Within that plan, which has already been there's certain items that have already been approved and I can speak publicly about, and one item is a communication strategy. And analyzing this issue on how to best engage the media on getting access to councillors and staff would be best addressed with a thorough thought through that communication strategy instead of as this one-off individual issue. So we're not totally putting this idea away, it's just we need to take some time and have some solid consideration about it before we approve it.
Exactly.
I just have a concern about questions in the public comment portion of the meeting, because it's mostly meant for us to listen and not respond to. So I don't know if that's distracting from the rest of the public comment to have.
For me, is that the intention of the public comment, really?
It's I think that is an item up for debate as well. We amend the procedural bylaw in the context of iCompass on how we want that public comment to look. Clarifications, I think, are to a previous council resolution would be okay, but like you said before, that's not a time for new commitments or council debate or discussion on an issue.
Yeah.
So it is a limiting factor for what the media, I think, is getting at. Just in a certain respect, I think what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In short, I think the appropriate action now is to just be clear and deny this request, but work on our communications plan as we've made a priority. Council supports it. I'll move that motion.
So I'll second that.
Okay, great. Okay, all in favor? Unanimous. Reading file. How about that reading file? Was it unintentionally on there? Moving along to page 20.
We have to accept the reading file.
Oh, we have to receive the reading file, and we have an opportunity to discuss it. Councillor Salt, Councillor Blanchette, any discussion or anything you want to raise from the reading file?
Sure, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been awarded a grant for $1,000 for Drinking Water Week, which is in May 20 to 26th, and this was something that both Councillor Salt and I were interested in, particularly to showcase the water treatment facility, because it's such a beautiful facility. So we will be formulating a plan what to do with that $1,000, and we'll let you know what that will entail.
So what's the general gist of that grant? What would it be used for?
To promote and showcase what our drinking water is, particular to the village, and to promote Water Week as well. So there's some posters and things to put up around town.
Do you want me to further?
Sure, Braden, yeah.
So the reason I'm stepping in is I wrote the grant application.
Oh.
So with email exchanges between both Councillor Salt and Councillor Bullock. We applied for a $1,500 grant, and because so many communities applied, we got $1,000. And we put two potential proposals in the grant application. One is to do a tour of the whole water and wastewater system with the grade 8 science class at the high school.
Okay.
And so we talked with Dan Kenkel at the high school about that and got their buy-in. And so we'd start at Swift Creek, we'd go to the pump house, we'd go to the water treatment plant, and then end at the sewer treatment plant and follow the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first idea. And the second idea was to have a public kind of open house on a Saturday at the water treatment plant, only the water treatment plant. So so people can come up and see that facility and have staff on hand and council on hand there. So what we have to do now is kind of have a working group and flesh out how that concept's going to work.
Okay. Okay, and we'll save that work of making a working group for another day.
We already approved one at a previous
okay.
council meeting,
Yeah.
and so it'll just be a temporary working group that'll meet until the end of May
Great.
via email and in person as needed.
Yeah. Knowledge is power, so it's really great. That water treatment plant is a fabulous facility. Okay, great. Any other items to bring up from the reading file? If not, we've got a motion on the table for receipts. All in favor? Okay, great. Moving along to administrative reports, we have an update from the Columbia Basin Trust, pages 20 and 22. Comments, concerns on that one? Or let's move receipt to begin with. Councillor Salt, Councillor Bullock, and let me just get to it, yeah.
I just really want to encourage the public to come out this Thursday at the secondary school community theatre. There will be kind of a meet and mingle, meet the applicants starting at 5:30 to 7, where they'll have individual tables. You can circulate around, find out more information, talk to the applicants directly, and then at 7 o'clock the formal proposal presentations will occur. And again, everyone is familiar with this program in the community. We look for your feedback and input on projects that you feel are important to your community and ask for your input. So please encourage you to come and bring friends, family, and encourage other people that you see to come as well.
Yeah, thank you. And if you haven't been, it's a fantastic evening, and it's really sort of the heart of what the community's up to. All the nonprofits are there and trying to make themselves better and do more things. It's pretty cool. So motion for receipt, or we'll vote on receipt then? Yeah, great. Okay, the Economic Development Officer Report, pages 23 and 24.
I'll make a motion to receive.
Okay, Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt. Comments?
Yeah, I'm excited to see that the Cranberry Marsh Trail is starting. It's exciting.
It's these things happen so fast. That was only conceived of and started. That project was only conceived of and started 6 years ago. It's so hard to get this stuff done, but it's amazing that it's actually happening. So it's a testament to everybody's will involved, man. It's so much easier to walk away. It'd be great. The Bigfoot Trail, the improvements will be done soon on that.
We have a meeting tomorrow to finalize stuff.
Also great, and lots of other great work going on. So again, this is available online, and you know, just one thing I'll pull up here. It's great to see that we do have the letter back from the Simp First Nation on our community-to-community forum. So that puts us in the clear to apply for that and get together with our neighbors to the south and have a meeting here. So all in favor of receipt? Moving on to the building inspector's report, pages 25 to 26. Motion for receipt. Councillor Bullock, Councillor Salt, and again, one of the best reports. I love reading it. It's amazing. It can be a journal. Okay, so all in favor of receipt? Getting right into the business here. Financial report. We've got the accounts payable for February 2013, pages 27 to 30. 4 pages of fun.
I'll make a motion to receive it.
Okay, Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Bullock, and all in favor. Okay. So, were there any questions arising out of that report? Okay, we got a progress report from the Director of Finance as well on things like, I'm just going to list them off because I feel like people haven't gone home and got this agenda on their electronic computer. But here's the exciting things you would read about if you had done that. CBT Initiative Grant, a 5-year financial budget, Swift Creek Emergency Response, the Swift Creek Emergency Recovery, year-end that she's working on, the Water Smart Ambassador funding, the CBT, and where she's at with delinquent taxes. Busy girl. Busy woman, I should say. Okay, so all in favor of receipt? Okay, moving on to bylaws and policies. 14.1, release from reserve land bylaw 689, 2013, third reading, pages 33 to 35. I'll set this up ever so briefly for, or let's have a motion to put that on, get it on the table. Councillor Bullock, Councillor Salt. This reserve land bylaw is at the behest of Mr. Kenkel, the principal of Valemount Secondary School, and it's to, there's land in reserve for school use, and this is allowing us to release it from the reserve land bylaw in order to establish a school garden on the property. So, council, what is your wish?
Motion to proceed.
Excellent. All in favor? Done.
Yeah, I just went to the high school to talk to Dan 2 days ago, and they have their greenhouse ready to put up, and they're very excited about it. So.
Great. Great. Okay, the 5-year financial bylaw, 691, 2013, first and second readings. This is pages 36 to 56. So this is what our bylaw looks like. We make the first and second readings, not that this is what it's going to look like. There's still the opportunity to make changes before the third reading. But it gets us into shape and it gets the process along, because of course we are under a deadline to get this done. We have to have this done by, I'm not sure if you recall, Councillor Salt, is it end of May or beginning of May or?
March, end of April, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's provincially legislated timelines that we have to follow with our budget process.
So at any rate, we're working along with that. Anyways, happens every year, so it's no surprise. There's a recommendation, first and second reading. Oh, I got to get down into the details here. And they want us, oh my lord, okay. The first and second reading, I should have been prepared for this one because we need to make a decision on one of the options that the Director of Finance has lined up here. Option 1, all additional expenses to be covered by surplus, with the expectation that staff will work diligently to keep surplus use to a minimum. Or add a 1% tax increase above the 2% inflation adjustment and cover additional expenses by surplus. Or add a 2%, option 3 is add a 2% tax increase above the 2% inflation adjustment and cover additional expenses by surplus. Or, I love how they line this up, cut services or additional projects and add a 1% tax increase above the 2% inflation adjustment and cover additional expenses by surplus. Or finally, cut services or additional projects and add 2% tax increase above the 2% inflation, cover additional expenses by surplus. Zach, are you on the bottom of page 37? We'll get to that in the thing, and then it can be laid out in front of our audience here too. So we've had some discussions around what we need to get done. We're tentatively looking at putting money away for paving Main Street, which is a big project. And of course we looked for partners for funding with that, infrastructure grants or whatever, but we need to come up with a part of it. So we're faced at this meeting with, right now, giving direction to staff on which one of these flavors that we want to do. And it's tough to say in front of an audience of belabored taxpayers, make the argument that that we're not taking enough already. And yet we see what the future is and what the expenses are coming down the thing, and we want to make sure that we don't, there are some surpluses, but there are also big expenses coming down the line. And it's hard, right? We run expensive infrastructure. We have big projects that come up. When it's time to pave Main Street, that's a big decision to make. So maybe we can go around the table, but I'm going to put it, I think this is right. I think I'm in favor of the 1% tax increase. So 3%. So 2% for inflation, 1% tax increase. And then, of course, that doesn't cover everything that we need to do to put away for the jobs that are in front of us. So we cover the additional expenses by surplus. So it's option 2 before you.
I'm in favor of option 1.
Mm-hmm.
We did this last year and we didn't use all the money that we put aside. So.
Okay, Councillor Salt?
I agree with Councillor Blanchette as well. I'm in favor of option 1, with all additional expenses to be covered by surplus, with the expectation that staff will work diligently to keep surpluses used to a minimum.
Okay. Councillor Bullock?
Yeah, I will, I also agree with the ladies in keeping the tax the same, and trust in staff that they will work diligently to keep the surplus used to a minimum. They did a great job last year.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. That's happy news, and I think we just need to give good direction to the Director of Finance. I do think
eventually
some of these items are going to come up and they're going to bite us. And we either stockpile for them now and make them cheap. I guess an example of that is last year we used $20,000 out of our paving surplus fund to, because we had the option of doing something that we could either do now for $20,000 or do later for 50 or 60 or 70. And it's just, for me, it's, anyways, I sit differently on this, but that's fine. But I think we could nickel and dime ourselves together, and we can nickel and dime this town. So we're the only people who have the insight into the books. We're the people who get to sit down with the Director of Finance. But
we've also, though, in this budget year, made allowances and started putting chunks away for big projects. So we've made that a priority. So I think we should wait a year and see what happens with our plan that we have now, and then see where we are again in a year.
Fair enough. I respect that. Okay, so I'm not sure where you're at with the motion for this one.
We need to have a motion put forward for...
So I'll make the motion that we do the additional expenses to be covered by surplus, with the exception that staff will work diligently to keep surplus used to a minimum.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Blanchette.
Second it.
Councillor Salt, all in favor? Okay.
Do you want to be noted as in opposition, or would you like to be noted as unanimous?
I would never stir the pot unnecessarily. Yes, mark me down for opposed to it. Respectfully, I want to be that voice saying we need to prepare for the future. So, and you guys know that tension's there. I don't think we think differently about it. Okay, so moving on to 14.3, zoning bylaw amendment 692, 2013, microbrewery. Here we're looking for first and second readings. This is on page 57 to 60. And the staff recommendation is that council approve first and second readings of zoning amendment bylaw 692. I've got to get to the right spot here, guys. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does this go to public, because we're rezoning?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
So just for the public's benefit, because this is an amendment to our zoning bylaw, after first and second reading, there'll be a public hearing preceding next council meeting, so on March 26th at 7 p.m. there'll be a public hearing regarding the microbrewery zoning application where public can come forward and speak about it at that time. And there'll actually be an advertisement coming out in this week's paper about that public hearing.
I can make a motion then.
Councillor Bullock?
To seek a council resolution in support of first and second reading of bylaw number 692/2013 in order to permit a microbrewery in the central commercial C1 zone.
I'll second it.
Okay, Councillor Blanchette. And I'll just make a comment. It's interesting, I think Braden or staff has pulled it up here. One of the things listed in the OCP is, you know, to have a thriving, diverse downtown business district. And it's kind of interesting that was written in there back in the day. They kind of, excellent. Anyways, we have a public hearing at the next council meeting, I suppose, as a result of this.
That's right. So before the next council meeting will be the public hearing.
Would it be really bad if I had appeared partisan on the issue during this meeting?
Well, I think because the motion's on the table, council can speak freely
Excellent.
about how they feel about the bylaw.
I think this is so important. I think I love to see the investment. I love to see people moving here and having a vision and trying to make a life for themselves. And I can't imagine what's involved in a microbrewery. The amount of paperwork to do a liquor license and the sort of the vision. And not only do you have to brew beer, get all the equipment to do all that stuff and make this thing, and then go out and sell it, you also have to jump through every branch of government's hoops to do it. So I hope that we can be supportive of this one. I think it's fantastic. Comments from council, or we'll take the vote on it?
I think it was
Okay.
the same.
All in favor?
All in favor? Okay, zoning amendment bylaw 693, home occupation, first and second readings.
Radio check, it's 11, radio check.
Excellent.
Gotta make sure our volunteer firefighters are all on check there.
Okay, and so we do have the fire department in the house. That's
We
good.
do.
That's good. This is a hot one. This is a hot one. Okay, so what we're doing right now is seeking a council resolution in support of first and second reading of bylaw 693/2013, which removes home occupation restrictions based on type. And I guess the idea here is, presented by staff, is the recommendation is, there's a beautiful report here that I think really nails it, is that there's a few home occupations that are listed that get special treatment, that say you shall not do these 4 things in the village of Valemount. And the tack that staff is saying is, wow, that's a tough one. It's an old bylaw. Maybe what would be more helpful for the village is to say, there's a scale that you can have, and there's a scale that is not permitted. If you've got whatever your work is, if you've got 30 people streaming in and out all day, that shouldn't be in a residential area. If you've got a place that needs masses and masses of parking, rather than getting down and dirty into what people are doing in their homes or the kind of home-based business that they're doing, I guess the idea is looking at what's the result of that and how is that for the neighbors to handle. I guess what I'd like to tell, advise council is, on this one, we'll have a public hearing at the next council meeting if we approve first and second reading. And that will allow us to gather feedback from the public for pro and con, and sort of get a handle on what the issues are here. So I certainly, because I think this is a big knotty issue, I think there's lots of issues with home-based businesses in Valemount, and I think we need to have clarity on this. I hope to at least see this have first and second reading, get to a public hearing, And maybe the overwhelming thing will be say, no, we have to do it on type. Here's really good reasons for that. And we can field those from the public. But doing first and second reading is not like signing off on this. It's an opportunity to hear from people who are affected as well as people who think that this is important, right? Like on both sides of the issue. So I would encourage us to pass first and second reading and take it to a public hearing. So I'll make that motion if that's acceptable. Okay, seconded by Councillor Salt. And discussion from council?
I think it is important to hear from the community because it does affect the community. I mean, I live in town, so, you know, it's a hard one because part of me wants residential to stay residential and commercial to stay commercial, but I still want people to have an opportunity. But I think we have to remember that when the decision comes down, is it fair for everybody?
Yeah.
It's got to be
That's
fair.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a lot of really good businesses in town that have been here for 20 and 30 years that have been through thick and thin. You know, we can't forget that they're there either.
For sure. Okay, great. So, all in favor? Okay, there we are. So this is the place to be, 2 weeks' time. Okay, moving along. Council reports. Beginning with Councillor Salt.
Holy shit. I didn't have a terribly busy couple of weeks, but I did have an exciting day of wonderful announcement that the Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association made a media release here in our council chambers last Thursday that we'll be hosting the 2014 AGM and conference here in Valemount. So that's really exciting. It'll bring in approximately 80 delegates with their partners and possible family members for meetings that happen Thursday, Friday, and finish up on Saturday. And a lot of times they extend their stay over the weekend, but so it's an exciting time. So we were awarded that and very exciting.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then I attended our first ever Valemount Area Chamber of Commerce Business After Business, and it appeared we had a really good turnout. I see some faces here tonight that were there, and I think, I don't know, I can't speak for them, but I know I had a really nice time, and I look forward to continuing that. And that's just to also, again, bring a little more awareness to our local chamber, encourage more businesses to get involved and grow and see what we can do in the community. So it was really good. That's it from me.
Thank you, Councillor Salt. Who wants to go next?
What month are we in? March 4th, I had the Valemount Walks Around the World meeting, and we came up with a really good working group. Tons of ideas, tons of plans. Our start date is May 4th, so get ready, get your shoes. We're just working out the final details, and like I said, a really good group of people. Tons and tons of ideas. So I'm thrilled about that. I think there's something in the paper as well this week. March 5th, we had our VCTV meeting, and we're looking for directors for our AGM, April 22nd at 7 p.m. at the VCTV building. So if you're interested, join us. And that's it. It was light.
On the 4th was the Valemount Community Forest meeting. I just want to pull out that we donated $500 worth of logs to the high school. There's a building project that's going on. They're building a 12 by 12 log cabin, I guess. John Baker is. And so I went by the school just to check it out and see what the progress was. And there's a little peeling place where some of the kids peel the logs. And they're building small scales first to figure the mechanics out there, and then they'll put it together. And at the end, they'll either donate it, auction it. They're not sure about where the final place will be for it. And then on the 5th was the Valemount tourism meeting. Really, another exciting announcement is the federal fisheries are developing a plan for salmon enhancement for Swift Creek. Yeah. It's been approved. All the way from above Golden Acres to below Yellowhead Campground. And so they're actually doing the plan. Once it's
Federal
been,
Fisheries is?
yes.
Wow.
And once the plan has been complete, we'll apply for funding to go forward to make it happen. But it's after, when you look at the Cranberry Marsh Trail that took 6 years, and you look at the creek which took a few months, it's very exciting. And then we're tentatively setting a date for our very first geocaching summer festival for July the 6th. It just seems like every year we have more and more things happening throughout the weekends in the summer. So hopefully it'll work for that date. And that's about it.
That's amazing. And so that announcement on the fisheries comes from Valemount Tourism?
Yes, because Bruce and Wendy put in the application, and Bruce went down and met with the SIMC to try and get their support for it as well. And Bruce is so passionate about salmon, so yeah, that's really exciting.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that's good. Boy, tourism is doing some amazing things, I have to say. That's great. I'll list off the meetings that I've been to and try to say something important that happened at each one. I sit on the Northern Development Initiative Trust as a representative from Valemount, and that group continues to do good work, and I'm trying to think of just pulling one thing from there, but I can't. I'll go on to OBAC, the Ominika Beetle Action Coalition. I just jotted down my minutes right now. I should have really done a better report for everybody. But one of the things that continues to be on the radar of the Ominika Beetle Action Coalition is they do a lot of work. I won't explain the organization, but basically they're trying to make sure that we get out of, post-pine beetle, that there's still communities here. I think that's really their task that they've sort of taken on. And the one thing that they've tackled this year that they haven't before is the social side of things happening in the communities. And it's really interesting. We had a lady named Sarah Cunningham who was in town, so if anybody's engaged with social services, they might have been invited to those meetings. This consultant came to town and sort of did a lot of work. It was last year, in seeing how the social services are working and not working. And I have to say, not to get political, but there's been a lot of changes to how the province handles social services. And the one thing that's evidently clear from her research is that nobody's looking out to see that things still continue to work, that people continue to get services. It's like, we could imagine, it's very likely that there are less people today in 2013 collecting social service or being the beneficiaries of social services than there was in 2007 or 2006, back when we had a mill, because the access has become so complex and difficult that they're actually weeding people out who really should be on those programs. And so Sarah's work, Sarah Cunningham's work, is to really take a look and see and talk to service providers and say who's falling through the cracks, because local people know, but it seems like there's no good conduit back to government, and there's no coordination. So she's looking at coordination and making sure. Anyways, it's fascinating work. I'm really happy to be a part of it. And I think it could have a substantive, who's able to go to government and say, hey, your programs aren't working right. This organization has got the heft to do that, because the delivery of social services is part of what keeps our communities, from people from falling through the cracks. I'm really delighted that the Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association is having their AGM here. There's 80 people here, but as Councillor Salt revealed during a press conference, that means the Minister of Transportation for BC will be here in town. Like, that is eminently useful, if not the Premier. I think we really need to work on having whoever the Premier is to be here during that time. But it's a great opportunity. It's a really great opportunity. And it's one of the specific events where we can show the town off for a particular group of people at a particular time. So it's a great way to be strategic. I am doing a little bit of work with the Associated Kootenay Boundary Local Governments on regional collaboration. There's been some meetings around that. And I guess the idea there, really in brief, if you've been to other council meetings, you've already heard about it. But the idea is coordinating the work of local governments so that we're not stepping on each other's toes or doing work The one beef that I have to say is that every municipality in British Columbia, all of us, we all use engineers, right? All the little communities use engineers. There's like 80 communities our size and under in this province. And you know what? All of the engineers live in big cities, without any exceptions. So here's the problem with that, is that we ask the government to say, hey, you need to devolve services to small communities, right? You have a little bit of a social service that's a couple extra jobs, some high-paying incomes in your communities. But we as communities aren't really doing that. So we should at least make sure that our engineering services aren't coming from Kamloops. Maybe they're coming from Nicas, or maybe they're coming from Golden, or Lord help us, maybe they're coming from Valemount, where you actually have an engineer in town. So it's a way of working with other communities to make sure that we're using our resources wisely and making sure that communities are vibrant. There's lots of other things that they're working on here. I am, continuing to be engaged in the Columbia Basin Trust. It was great to go and see all the businesses at business after business. And I mentioned last time that I had the chance to meet Alberti at Whistler. It's a long story. It's like a legitimate thing. I went up to meet the guy. It sounds like very fancy, going to Whistler. But I've actually never been to Whistler. So for those of you that really like Whistler, I guess it's good to go. And for those of you that abhor Whistler and say, Valemount should never be like Whistler, I mean, a guy should go and check it out, eh? So I was in Whistler. I went up to the top of the mountain. Didn't ski, just went up and had a coffee in the lodge and talked to Alberto, and I let it drop that I'd had the most amazing ski day of my life. And he was like, yeah? Where? And I said, in Alberta. And his sort of face dropped. So I came back and I was like, what am I doing? We've got this big Valemount Glacier destination project going on Mount Trudeau. So the group went up on Trudeau. We had like a foot of snow dump. And I went up, I took my awesome sled, my high-powered sled up there, and I had the best day of skiing of my life to that day up there. It was just absolutely amazing. And nobody here was there, but I think everybody would testify that I was awesome. Okay, and then things are rocking along with VCTV, which is great to see that VCTV is kicking along under Gord's leadership there. Okay, that concludes my report.
Okay, I'll make a motion to receive those.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Bullock, and then all in favor. Okay. We have a list of outstanding previous council resolutions that's there, just for reminding all of us. There's a calendar of events that shows us the kind of things that we're going to be engaged in. And now, here's the part where we're in public comment. So media in particular, if you've got any burning questions, we can try fielding them in a non-partial way. Just to let you know, questions should be like limited to 2 minutes each, or rants, whatever. And they should be regarding the material that we have on the agenda. Otherwise, it's not really fair. If you want to talk to us about something else, you should get in touch with us so we can see what's coming. And this is not, we're not a substitute for the front desk. So if you have like a legitimate concern that has a normal way of being handled, you should go and give that to the front desk, because we have people who are paid to do that, and who do a good job with it. And you should address your questions to me, and we'll try not to debate you. Try, being the operative word. But any comments from the public? Okay. And I will say that we're having 2 public hearings at the next council meeting, and that is totally the appropriate time.
Yeah.
Totally the appropriate time to bring comments on those things. That would be really great. And we'll try to keep a really neutral and welcoming atmosphere so people can speak their hearts.
Just want people to be aware as well, if they're unable to attend the public hearing in person but have concerns or comments, they can submit written submissions.
We have stipulated though that they have to be in writing. They can't be emailed.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Do they have to be in by a certain date?
They have to be in before the council meeting. So then the council meeting is March 26th. They'd have to be in by March 25th.
By noon? That's the Thursday?
I believe it would be. I think it is. It'd be the Monday.
Okay.
Monday at noon.
Okay.
Is Danilda back there? Any questions? Okay. Okay, so you just rise, say your name and address, and then.
Corey Marshall, number 9, 101 Elm Street. A little bit of a comment / question about the financial bylaw. I've been reading a little bit about permissive tax exemptions, and it doesn't seem like we have a policy on that yet. So I'm just kind of wondering if that's something you're working on, if it's going to be built into the bylaw going forward, or into this bylaw.
Do you want me to speak to that?
If you're able to.
Corey, that's a really good question, but because Lori McNeil, our Director of Finance, isn't here, I prefer to take that one to her, and then at the next council meeting I'll make a point of bringing whatever results from that conversation forward. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, all right. I'm not gonna, if I just sit here and beg for questions, we could end up in trouble, so. One last opportunity for questions from the public. I notice the media is ostensibly they're very quiet. So obviously when we do a council meeting, there are no questions that need to be answered. So I don't know why they want to meet for 15 minutes afterwards. So with that, we will close the public comment period. And we won't receive it or anything because we didn't do it. Or should we receive? Oh, we did.
Receive from Corey, so yes,
apologize.
A motion to receive.
Motion to receive. Councillor Saul, Councillor Bullock, all in favor? Excellent. Now we have a notice to proceed in camera. In accordance with section 91 of the community charter, this section of the meeting will be held in camera to consider these 3 items: land, legal, municipal service. So, Councillor Saul, Councillor Bullock, all in favor? Boom.
Thanks
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah, wow, that's huge. Bye.